You meet someone stable, they text back, they follow through, they do not disappear for 2 days and come back with a vague excuse. They are kind, clear, and emotionally available. And instead of feeling relieved, you feel flat. Your mind starts asking dangerous questions. Where is the spark? Why does this feel so dull? That reaction sounds small, but it can quietly ruin the healthiest relationship you have ever had. Because your brain does not judge closeness by logic alone. If love used to come with mixed signals, distance, tension, and sudden reassurance, it also judges by familiarity, arousal, and what your nervous system learned to treat as intimacy. Then, instability did more than hurt you. It trained your attention. Intermittent reward is a quick way to lock a person in. Uncertainty keeps you alert. Relief feels intense. And intensity is easy to mistake for connection. So when a healthy person enters your life, something strange can happen. There is no panic, no chase, no decoding, no emotional cliff to climb back from. Nothing is pushing your system into high alert. And without that activation, calm can register as emptiness. This is where people start making costly mistakes. They compare peace to intensity. They call regulation dull. They start picking at the relationship, testing the other person, or looking for something wrong, just to feel something familiar again. If that pattern has ever shown up in your life, stay close. The rest of this will put a name to it. And if you want more work like this before old patterns talk you into another bad decision, subscribe now. If that pattern has ever shown up in your life, then what you call chemistry may not mean what you think it means. Why bored is often the wrong word. You meet someone who does the basic things right. They reply without games, they stay consistent, they do not disappear for 2 days and come back with a dramatic excuse. They do not make you guess how they feel. On paper, this should feel like relief. But instead, something in you goes flat. You start thinking, is this it? You call it boredom because that is the easiest word available. But boredom is often the wrong label. Real boredom is closer to mental disengagement. It feels like a lack of interest, a lack of curiosity, a lack of emotional substance. Many people feel something different in a healthy relationship. It is restlessness. It is unease. It is the strange discomfort of not being pulled into a problem. Your mind keeps waiting for something to happen, and when nothing happens, the silence starts to feel suspicious. That is why people talk about the missing spark. But the spark is often misunderstood. Very often, what gets called a spark is not deep compatibility. It is activation. It is the rush of uncertainty, the alertness of not knowing where you stand, the mental fixation that comes from mixed signals. That intensity can feel meaningful, even when it is just destabilizing. If someone makes you wonder, chase, decode, and brace for changes in tone, your whole system lights up. So when a calm person enters your life, your body may not read that calm as safety. It may read it as absence, no guessing, no panic, no emotional spike. And without those familiar surges, you may assume something important is missing. How chaos becomes your emotional normal, when what is actually missing is threat. If calm feels strangely empty to you, that reaction usually did not begin in your current relationship. It was trained much earlier. If love, attention, or approval came to you inconsistently, your mind learned that closeness was never fully secure. You had to watch for changes. You had to notice tone, timing, silence, distance, irritation, and withdrawal. In that kind of environment, paying attention was not just emotional. It felt necessary. A parent might be warm one day and cold the next. You might get praise. This can start in childhood, especially in homes where affection and tension lived side by side. Then, criticism, comfort, then rejection. Or maybe nobody was openly cruel, but the emotional climate kept shifting. So you never knew which version of the other person you were going to get. Later, toxic partners can deepen the same pattern. They text intensely, then go missing. They pull you close, then become vague. Over time, your nervous system adapts to this instability. It becomes skilled at scanning. They give just enough to keep your attention locked in. You read pauses in conversation. Too carefully, you notice small changes in facial expression. You feel a message left unanswered as a threat before you even have a reason. This is what insecurity often looks like in real life. It is not just fear of being abandoned. It is a body and mind trained to expect that connection can change without warning. And repeated exposure does something powerful. It makes the familiar feel natural, even when it hurts. A chaotic pattern can start to feel more emotionally believable than a stable pattern, simply because your system knows how to function inside it. That is why someone can honestly want a healthy relationship and still feel unsettled when they get one. You are not consciously choosing pain. Your body is recognizing an old emotional climate and treating it like home. Why anxiety can masquerade as chemistry. Unstable relationships keep you in a cycle of tension and relief. Once chaos becomes familiar, your body starts reacting to it in a very specific way. You do not know when the next text will come, whether affection will last, or if a small shift in tone means distance is coming. That uncertainty raises your level of arousal. You become mentally locked in. You check your phone more. You replay conversations. You search for meaning in small details. Then comes the reward. A warm message arrives. They suddenly become affectionate. They apologize, reassure you, or pull you close again. Because your system was already tense, the relief hits hard. It feels bigger than it really is. The contrast between distress and comfort creates intensity, and your mind can mistake that intensity for depth. This is why inconsistent attention can be so hard to walk away from. When care is unpredictable, it does not just feel valuable. It feels urgent. In ordinary life, this looks like getting stuck on somebody who sends mixed signals. A partner who gives affection randomly can hold your attention more tightly than a partner who is kind every day, disappears and returns, or acts deeply interested only when you pull away. The uncertainty keeps your focus active, and the occasional reward keeps your hope alive. Inside your body, this can look a lot like what people call chemistry. The problem is that your body does not automatically label these as fast heartbeat, stomach tension, obsessive thinking, emotional highs and crashes. Alarm can be read as attraction. Preoccupation can be read as connection. Fear of losing the person can be read as proof that they matter more. So when a healthy partner is consistent, the experience can seem less powerful by comparison. No guessing, no spikes, no dramatic relief. The relationship may actually be more secure, but because it does not keep triggering the same stress-reward cycle. It can feel less exciting to a system that learned to confuse activation with love. What a healthy relationship feels like to a dysregulated nervous system. If your system is used to constant emotional motion, stability can feel strangely blank at first. Not peaceful, blank. You are no longer scanning every message for hidden meaning. You are no longer bracing for a shift in mood. You are no longer waiting for affection to disappear. And when that constant monitoring stops, what you notice first may not be comfort. It may be silence. Some people feel emptiness, as if something important has gone missing. That silence can be misread in several ways. Some feel suspicion, because steady kindness seems too simple to trust. Some feel numb, because their body has been so busy managing tension that calm does not register as pleasant yet. It just feels quiet. If your inner world has been built around alertness, the absence of threat can feel less like safety and more like unfamiliar territory. This is why the word withdrawal fits better than boredom. When a relationship no longer gives you sharp spikes of stress and relief, your body may react like something rewarding has been removed. You do not get the sudden cortisol surges the obsessive checking, the dramatic soothing after panic. Instead, you get a steady baseline. To a regulated person, that baseline feels secure. To a dysregulated person, it can feel like nothing is happening. And calm does not instantly become comforting just because it is healthy. If you have had little experience with predictability, emotional steadiness, and closeness that does not require defense, your body may not know how to settle into it. A healthy partner can feel more like a warm home than a fire. Less intensity, less volatility, less danger. The value is still there. Your system just may not be trained to recognize warmth unless it arrives with heat and smoke. How people start sabotaging what is actually safe. Once calm starts feeling flat, the mind often looks for a way to make the relationship feel more intense. This is where sabotage begins, and it usually does not look dramatic at first. It can be small. You start picking at harmless details. You ask loaded questions you already know the answer to. You pull back emotionally just to see if they chase you. Sometimes it looks like creating tests. You wait longer to reply and watch their reaction. You become unusually focused on what is missing, even though the relationship is stable, respectful, and kind. You act colder than you feel. You bring up old issues that were already settled. You turn a minor misunderstanding into a larger conflict because the argument itself wakes something up in you. Suddenly, there is tension, uncertainty, pursuit, repair. The system recognizes the pattern. It feels familiar again. This does not always come from cruelty or conscious manipulation. Very often, your mind is trying to restore a level of activation that feels emotionally normal. If peace feels unnatural, conflict can start to feel like proof that the relationship is alive. A healthy partner may then respond with confusion, defensiveness, or fatigue. They may become more careful with you, less relaxed, less open. Over time, they stop showing up with the same ease they had at the start. And then the trap closes. You may look at their new distance or exhaustion and say, "See, something was off all along." But what you are seeing may be the effect of repeated destabilization. The old emotional climate gets recreated inside a safe relationship, and once the tension returns, it can feel strangely convincing. It can even feel like chemistry has finally appeared. In reality, the past has taught your system to feel at home inside friction, and that lesson can slowly turn safety into strain. At this point, the real question, is it peace or is it actually dead? The real question is no longer why do I feel dull? It is what exactly am I reacting to? Because a calm relationship can feel quiet and still be deeply alive. It can be safe, affectionate, mentally engaging, physically warm, and emotionally real without keeping you in a state of tension. But calm is not a free pass for everything. A relationship can also be flat because it truly lacks curiosity, attraction, emotional presence, or mutual interest. So the distinction matters. If you feel peaceful but connected, that is very different from feeling chronically unseen, shut down, or emptied out. If there is respect, emotional safety, honest communication, then the discomfort may be coming from unfamiliar stability rather than a dead bond. Some genuine pull toward the person and room for your full self. But if you are constantly shrinking, forcing interest, or feeling no real warmth at all, that points somewhere else. The mistake is assuming that the absence of chaos automatically means the absence of love. It may not create butterflies, it may not dominate your thoughts, it may not flood you with urgency. For a nervous system trained by unpredictability, peace can feel deceptively neutral at first. That does not mean nothing is there. Sometimes what feels dull is actually your body losing access to threat and calling that emptiness. And if you do not recognize that pattern, you can walk away from the very thing you needed, simply because it did not feel like the damage you already knew how to survive.